Prelude is here. We're back for week 7. Okay, fine, 6 and 7, but we got this on lock. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Tyler Rains, and I'm here with my fellow co-host Tomas Zubrus for this week's edition of Tales from the Pond. We've got a lot to unpack in this next little while, so sit back, grab some popcorn, maybe grab a Coke or a Sprite, because you're really going to enjoy this tale. So, Thomas, it's been a while since we've heard from you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. I wish we didn't ever lose that file because we recorded about 3-4 hours worth of footage over the summer and it just went out the window.
What can you do, right?
Yeah, now I'm officially here. You guys are going to actually hear me, and I'm looking forward to this experience.
So, speaking of officially, let's get into the action, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
So first off, the Oshawa Generals rolled in, and this is we're going to be going through the games from October 25th onward, and then we're going to do a preview of the games in Flint and Saginaw this weekend coming up. So October 25th was the Oshawa Generals and the Mississauga Steelheads at Paramount Fine Foods Center. So let's get right to it then. First goal of the game would honestly, this was such a nice goal, I have to say. Brett Newman scores his 10th of the season, assisted by Kyle McLean. That was about a minute in.
Yeah, right off the draw. It was a bit of a sloppy setup for Mississauga, but honestly, their defense has been slacking for most of the year. And Edmonds, people seem to kind of give him a lot of crap, but I just think the defense was slacking, especially since Delmash was at the junior camps right now.
It wasn't a great defensive play at all, but you can't blame Edmonds for not saving that one. I mean, you got to have help in front, right? And it's not that they weren't helping, but they've got to just watch that.
No. It's just they weren't prepared, really.
Absolutely. So, so the second goal came about 3 minutes later, 3 minutes and 15 seconds later. Thomas Harley gets his 6th of the season, assisted by Pruder and Washkarak, and down comes the fish. It's rain and fish.
Yeah, a fan threw a trout on the ice. How original, considering it's the Mississauga Steelheads.
It seems to be tradition. I remember the last time that happened that I was there to witness it was in the playoffs in Game 4 versus Sudbury. And wouldn't you know it, Thomas Harley scored then, and they threw the fish, and they threw the trout again here. So what do you know? That's Thomas Harley's thing.
So this guy just basically throws fish on the ice whenever Thomas Harley scores?
So that's going to be his thing.
See, my question is, what's going to happen if Thomas Harley scores a hat trick? Let's just say that happens, because he's more than capable of doing it.
Bring the whole fish market. That's what's going to happen. Bring the whole fish market.
Just go to Metro and buy every trout you see there.
Clear every grocery store. All right, we're going to need these.
All right. Next goal.
The next goal came from Duncan Penman. It was his 3rd of the season, again assisted by Pruder for his 2-point night, and Richard Whitaker would get the secondary assist on that one. Mississauga would take a 2-1 lead.
I thought it was a nice goal. I mean, some decent passing. Don't really have too much to say on it because it's just a typical passing play, but it was fun to watch.
And I really like Duncan Penman. He's a very good defenseman. Honestly, really like Duncan Penman. I like his style of play. He's got a big body as well, so he can hit. So it was a good goal for him. And plus, they took a 2-1 lead there. That's always a good thing. But minute and 47 seconds into the third, no lead is safe in hockey. Oliver Suni scores his 5th of the year on the power play with assists coming from Nico Gross and Danil Antropov.
Seems like Gross has been in the league forever.
Almost feels like it, especially with the amount of times he scored against the Steelheads. Oh, man. Yeah, that was just an unfortunate play. I mean, the Steelheads, again, they've struggled a lot with their power play, which we'll get into a little bit after this. They went 0 for 2 on the power play this game. But they have to just kind of not let goals like that happen.
Yeah, it was sloppy. The defense was kind of all over the place. I think their offense, in terms of Mississauga's offense, on paper, easily one of the best rosters in the league. It's just they need to work on their chemistry in the defensive end.
Absolutely, and we'll talk about the new newest Steelheads acquisitions in just a little while. But next, Brett Newman scores again to take the lead 3-2 over Mississauga. It's his 11th of the season. Ty Tulio and Nico Gross again got the assists.
Don't really have much to say on that goal. It was just kind of what sucked the energy out of Mississauga because, like, after that, like, you could tell they were just kind of like, we feel like we're going to lose.
Just about a minute after that, Nick Isaacson scores his second of the season to tie it up at 3, but that's about 4 minutes later. Brett Harrison scores his third. Jacob Winterton and Sarah Noel get the assists. Oshawa takes the final victory 4-3. The shot totals for that game were in favor of the Steelheads 32-24.
I mean, that just goes to show, like, people say that, like, possession wins games. It doesn't. You can get outshot. Example, like in the Q I was watching over the weekend, Halifax played St. John. Halifax shot St. John 37-14. And St. John, in the dying seconds, won the game 4-3.
Possession isn't always the answer. So just because you have good puck possession doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the game.
It's not even that. Like, it's not about how much possession you have. It's what you do with the possession.
Exactly. If you make the most of your chances, you're constantly getting shots on goal. You know, you're making great passes, good opportunities into the slot, right past the goaltenders. That's how you know that you're doing well offensively. But if you're just kind of losing the puck in the offensive zone a lot and you're kind of having to curl back and defend, that's a weakness that I've seen with them so far, and that's not really a great thing.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Final score of that game would end up being 4-3 in favor of the Generals. Not a great start to the week, and I'll tell you why. Because not only did they lose that game in Mississauga, they would go to Peterborough the next night and get absolutely shelled 10-3. Michael Little, former Steelhead, Mason McTavish getting 2 goals, Zach Gallant, Liam Kirk, and Nicholas Robertson. By the way, he is a forward. Shout out to Steve Gagnon on that one. And the scorers for the Steelheads will be Richard Whitaker, Thomas Harley with his 7th, and Michael Stubbs with his first OHL goal. That's kind of crappy to get a first OHL goal in that bad of a loss, but congratulations to Michael Stubbs. I have to say, he's been so good. I enjoy watching him play. He's a little rocket out there. He's fast. He can handle the puck well, and he's a good developing forward, so it's good for his rookie season. I'm really liking the way he's playing so far. However, the total shots in that game would be 47-38 in favor of Peterborough. The Petes went 4 for 7 on the power play. And, of course, Mississauga 0 for 4 on the power play. I want to take a minute and talk about their power play here because it has been, and I'm saying this in the most brutally honest way possible, it has been bad. They're 11 for 62 on the season on the power play. To be honest, to be exactly precise, that's 17.74% for the crowd.
You should be getting at least 30%. I mean, I think that would be fair in saying, no? At least 20.
I agree.
At least.
And again, and the Petes have been, I don't know how they're coming out of nowhere like that, but they've been half decent this year for sure. But to go out and shell a team 10-4, like that's, oh. And I feel bad for Joe Ranger because he was starting that game. Edmonds and Ranger they've had their good moments and they've had their bad moments like every other goalie. I really thought that particularly Ranger has been very solid in games where he needs to be. But I feel bad for him in games like this where it's 10-3 when you get shelled like that. That's got to hurt. That really has to hurt. That's really got to hurt.
Yeah. Like, I can't imagine what a 10-3 loss does to a team's morale. Like, no matter how good you guys are playing, let's say before that, it just sucks to lose by 7 goals. And on top of it, I mean, you score 3, that's not bad. But for your opponent to have 7 more goals than you, that's just rough.
Oh, it's not something you really want to go through, especially on a 3-game stretch like you're doing. You lost the night before you lost the night before at home against Oshawa. That already kind of brings you down. Mm-hmm. Then you get absolutely demolished like this in Peterborough, and then the afternoon after, you have a game in Guelph. That's the one thing that I don't like to see is
Back-to-backs?
I think it's ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't do 3 games in a row. And especially for the Steelheads, think about this. They had 3 games in a row that weekend, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The following week they would have the following week they would have Friday, Saturday, and then they have Friday, Saturday again coming up.
My God.
They really got screwed in terms of the schedule, and that's
playing 3 games in a row, like in the NHL, you're not allowed to have more than 3. That kind of says something, and I know like the hockey is obviously a way higher level than major junior, but you shouldn't have to play 3 games in 3 days. Like, for example, like my team in the Q, they have a back-to-back-to-back on Friday, Saturday, Sunday in 3 different like arenas, like one away game, home game, and then another away game. It's terrible. Like, I feel really bad for certain junior players.
And like junior scheduling, that's another issue that we'll get to another day. But I mean, it's ridiculous the fact they had to play 3 games back-to-back-to-back like that. And they haven't even really got time to rest.
Well, I mean, like, I understand. It's not even just that. Like, I understand that, like, people usually go to junior games, like, on the weekends and stuff because, like, then you have, like, more stuff to do because, like, adults are working, kids are in school, even teenagers like myself, I'm in school. So, like, usually you want to, like, do stuff like that on the weekends, but at the same time, like, games should not just be on the weekends and on Fridays.
I agree.
Like, they need to fix that.
And you know what? And then now that was the end of that game. Final score would be 10-3. Shots in favor of the Peterborough Petes, 47-38. Now, the next day, 2 p.m., they were in Guelph at Sleeman Center to take on the Guelph Storm. This was a rough one because the Steelheads got blanked 4-0. They got shut out. But, the big donut. And
big donut.
Andre Bakanov, Keegan Stevenson, Pavel Gogolev, and Ty Collins, who the Mississauga Steelheads actually traded for the day after, scored against them. And
wait, actually?
Yep.
The day after they traded for him.
Yep, and we will get into that. But yeah, they traded for him the day after, which I thought was kind of funny. Again,
wow.
Guelph, they lost a lot of their core last year with overagers. You know, Nick Suzuki's not there anymore. Anthony Popovich got traded to Flint, and they lost a lot of great names on that team. But yet somehow they're still doing all right, which it's not bad. I mean, it's not. It could be a lot worse for them, but again, like these back-to-backs, the 3-game stands that the Steelheads are going on, this didn't really help them, especially because they probably didn't get a good night's sleep last night. Right? And now they had to go up against Guelph, who's like I have to say this, they're like a flipping train, just running through everybody they face in that week. But they flipped. The final shot total would be 35-28 in favor of the Steelheads for a 4-0 loss. So they dropped 6 points. They dropped 6 points on the weekend, which again isn't great, and they went 0 for 3 on the power play again. But man, like it's been rough. It's been rough. And that's something you never want to go through as a team, but it happens. Nothing you can do to stop it, really.
Tyler, like real quick, and give me an honest answer here. Do you have faith that the Steelheads will make the playoffs? Keep in mind, like for all who are listening for the first time or don't really know how the OHL operates, there's 20 teams, and 16 out of those 20 teams make the playoffs, meaning 4 teams miss out. You can get into the playoffs with a losing record. How do you think Mississauga will do? Do you think they'll make the playoffs? Do you think they'll barely scrape in? Do you think they're going to be a top 4 pick in the draft?
I'll be honest. I think if they play their game like they did on Saturday night against Niagara, they absolutely will make the playoffs. They need to get however many more wins before December. I think if they play strong enough this weekend, and keep in mind, Saginaw and Flint are the top teams in the Western Conference. They need to play some strong hockey against those two. If they can somehow manage to pull off maybe a 3-game win streak when they're bringing it back to Mississauga the weekend of the 15th, then they might just have a shot. I have to say that. They might just have a shot. So that wraps up that week. That was atrocious. We're going November 1st, start of a new month. Let's just Breathe out, exhale. Hamilton rolls in. That was probably, I have to say, one of the most poorly officiated games I think I've ever seen. And I'll tell you why. So let's get into the action first and foremost. So going into the game, the first goal didn't come the first goal didn't come until about a minute left in the first. It came in 1914 from Arthur Kaliev on the power play. Jan Yannick and Nathan Stiles got the assists. So it was 1-0 after the first period for Hamilton. And again, it's the penalty kill that the Mississauga Steelheads have thrived on. The penalty kill has been their strong suit. But power play goals like that, yeesh, ooh.
What's their penalty kill percentage?
Their penalty kill percentage currently, they are sitting at 20 for 68. So they're 29% of the penalty kill.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, and I mean, again, what can you really do, right? They're hoping to, and JR's, he was smart for going out and getting some offense as well. Calvin Martin from Sarnia and getting Ty Collins from Guelph, which, by the way, would be making their debut in this game. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that after, because I'm a little bit heated about one of the calls that happened. So I'm going to definitely get my grievances on that one. Now, Here's what's happening. So first period ends, and Ola Bjorkvik-Holm got a penalty for holding, and that's what led to the goal for Arthur Kaliev. Second period opens up. 3 minutes in, Max Dodig scores his second of the year, second of his young OHL career. Adam Varga and William Portocalis getting the assists. But here is what I have a problem with. So there were a couple of penalties thrown. Yannick gets a goaltender interference call at 6 minutes. Ty Collins gets a holding call at 11 minutes. And then Narvin Mutter gets 5 in the game for a check to the head. That was really just kind of got us. Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, what was it? Oh, so yeah, you saw the check to the head.
Yeah, it was very, very. I mean, we are a family-friendly podcast, so I don't really have words to properly express my views on this hit, but
it was.
I think it was just a matter of poor officiating. That's all it was. I don't have any more to say.
Stuff like that doesn't belong in junior hockey, especially. Like, if you want to go for a check to the head like that, like, come on, that's ridiculous. So
there's no point for him.
He would serve that one 5 in a game. So, and the Steelheads would take a penalty. Richard Whitaker gets a high sticking call, right? So this was actually this was on the Ty Collins holding. So Ty Collins would take a holding penalty, and Hamilton would just absolutely break out the gate. Tag Bertuzzi scores his 5th of the season. Yannick gets another assist, and Stiles gets another assist with that. Again, that's where their penalty kill didn't really help him out there. So it's 2-1 Hamilton. The next one up. This is what we all got mad about. Whitaker takes a high sticking call, which it sucks. And then this is the thing that really, really, really makes me mad. So breaking right out the gate from the second period, I have to say this. I forgot to mention this, and this is very important. There was a goal. So Ty Collins would have got his first as a Steelhead.
Okay.
He scored it. Referee goes over, points his arm down. Before he's ready to call that a goal, he last second waves it off, and as if it was never happening. So I looked at that and I was like, wait a second, you can't do that. You can't. In what universe is that okay? I've never seen that happen in the AHL. I've never seen that happen in the NHL. I've never seen that happen ever. Not even at my cousin's hockey games. And he plays AAA.
Yeah, that's just weird.
I don't know why that was happening. Like, you can't just change your mind last second. Either you roll it a goal and they have to review it, or it's no goal. That's that.
Wait, so he waved it off and they didn't review it, or they did?
No, they didn't review it. He just waved it off.
That's very inconvenient for you guys, and that I can imagine as a Steelheads fan, that's tough to swallow.
I'm just trying to figure out what he was doing there. So anyways, of course, so Collins... So after that, they score, and this is the penalty that really grinded everyone's gears. So Liam Ham got tripped up. He was trying to regain his balance and getting out of the crease, right? So Nate Stiles comes from behind and shoves him into the goaltender. They're both down. So the refs pull everybody off. Liam Ham goes to the box for goaltender interference after he was pushed into the net. There was no mistaking that.
What?
How do you? I'm just trying to wrap my head around what these referees were thinking. How do you call that goaltender interference if you didn't do it on purpose and you were pushed? Makes sense to you or no?
I mean, maybe from like the ref's angle, it might have been tough to view, but at the same time, something that obvious should not be not called properly.
It wasn't his fault. Like he was just trying to get out of the crease and get back to his feet, and he got shoved right into the goaltender, and they're acting like it's his fault. I'm wondering what they were thinking there, because that doesn't sound like a penalty to me.
Yeah, honestly, I think certain refs, I'm not saying names because, we're not
here to call anybody out here.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, from my point of view, if anybody should have gotten a penalty, it should have been maybe Stiles for possibly interference, because in all fairness, he did push Ham into the goalie. That wasn't really Ham's fault.
Yeah. No, it just looked like a blatant push right into the goalie, and for that not to be called properly, it confused me. I was like, what's going on? I watched the highlights, and I watched like most of the game footage couple of days ago, but this was just very sloppy. I shouldn't say it was sloppy. It was very all over the place officiating. If that makes sense.
It wasn't great. So, and that would end off the second period, right? So, and going into the third, Tag Bertuzzi, a minute in, takes a penalty. Nothing comes up from the Steelheads power play, of course. And then 3 minutes and 14 seconds in, Avery Hayes scores his fourth of the season. Cameron Saprika and Cade Landry would get the assist from that. That would be the game-winning goal. Nick Isaacson scores his third a little while later. Nicholas Canati getting the only assist on that. The Steelheads can't come back, unfortunately, after that goal was called back. Arthur Kaliev gets the empty net goal. 4-2 final. You can't blame this one on the Steelheads. You really can't. They outshot Hamilton 41-33 at the end of the game. You can't blame this one on the Steelheads. That's like, they played their best, but that was, I have to say, I'm not really one to call out officiating, but that was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it looked very, very messy.
Huh? It left me scratching my head at the end of the game.
Honestly, I don't think you were the only one, and sadly, considering this is hockey, people do make mistakes. In terms of officiating, this probably won't be the first nor last time this happens.
That was the end of that game. So Hamilton would end up winning that one 4-2. Mississauga would go 4-10 on the season. The next night, they'd roll into the Meridian Center to face division rival Niagara Ice Dogs. These teams have had quite the history, of course. Niagara winning the home opener against Mississauga 3-1. And now the Fish looking to get some revenge here. So let's get into the action, shall we? So the first period, first goal came from Mr. Nick Isaacson, and the assist would come from William Portocalis. That would be a shorthanded goal. That was the first goal of the night for Nick Isaacson, and he did get a hat trick, by the way. But that was the first goal of the game for Isaacson. I thought it was beautiful. He completely protected the puck. Great solo effort after Portocalis gave him the shot, and he just ripped it right through the crease.
Yeah, it was a very nice goal. I saw it on the highlight. It was a very good way to use your hands. I mean, like, you can tell the kid can handle the puck and just went around everybody and just sniped it.
That was that. So that was the only goal in the first period. So the Steelheads would carry a 1-0 lead. 7 minutes into the second period, Kai and Sopa would score his 11th of the season. Akil Thomas and Oliver Castleman would get the assist there. So it's tied at 1. And again, Niagara is one of those teams where you can't let your guard down. They're one of those teams that you don't want to be playing defense in the offensive zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're a tough team to beat. And again, the Steelheads found a way to exploit the weakness of the Steelheads, which are the Ice Dogs, sorry. And that's what they did. So in the second period, 18:33. So this was less than a minute, or just over a minute and a half left in the second. Nick Isaacson scores his second of the game, 5th of the season. And the assist would come from Kian Washgrak, prospect for the St. Louis Blues. And Calvin Martin would get his first point as a Steelhead. So congratulations to Calvin Martin on getting your first point. And that was an even better goal. If you talk about juicy goals and using your hands, Isaacson takes the cake. This game, Isaacson took the cake on that one. That was, beautiful.
Yeah, it was filthy. Absolutely filthy. Overall, the Steelheads, they played well. And honestly, the results they got didn't show the amount of effort they put in. I think they should have come away with at least 3 wins instead of only 1. If I'm not mistaken, right? Just 1 win over the last 5 games.
Yeah, but
it was just messy.
And so so that would be it for the second period. The Steelheads again carrying a lead. That early goal right out the gate really gave them the confidence. Third period opens up, 7 minutes in, no fish this time. Thomas Harley scores his 8th of the season. Nick Isaacson gets an assist, and Ola Bjorkvik-Holm gets his 7th assist of the season. 3-1 Steelheads. Absolutely. Especially seeing Isaacson getting his 3rd point of the night. So he's already
He's
already hyped up as that is. And Thomas Harley, I have said it for the past few episodes here. He is there. There's no real way to describe it. When he steps on the ice, the guy is like a magician.
So would you? I mean, this could be a stretch here, but would you say he's the Steelheads' best ever defenseman?
I definitely say he's up there for sure. He's up there with some of the great names like Nick Hague, Stuart Percy. There are so many names that he's up there with. He's definitely in the conversation to be in the top 5 in franchise history. Absolutely. I'd even argue that he's the top 2.
So him and Nick Hague in your eyes are top 2?
I wouldn't say, well, yeah. But that's in my eyes, yes. I've seen over the past little while. So after that, 10 minutes later, Lucas Terrio would score his 3rd of the season. Dakota Betts and Jake Uberty getting the assists on that one. And then Nick Isaacson for his hat-trick goal against the empty netter. Bye-bye, Niagara. See you next time. Steelheads take that one 4-2 final. Outshooting the Ice Dogs 45-38. And again, going 0 for 3 on the power play, but still taking the win. And that is what we like to see. That is what we like to see. Because the Steelheads needed this win so bad. And you know what? They wanted it. They went out there and they proved why they needed to win. Especially with an early goal coming from Nick Isaacson. That just, again, proves how hungry they were to really break out like that. And especially against a team like Niagara, who's, again, not easy to beat. That's a huge win for them. So great job for the Steelheads on that one. Their next games are coming up Friday, November 8th against the Flint Firebirds. That game takes place at 7 p.m. And the next game after that is going to be against the Saginaw Spirit. Cole Perfetti and the Saginaw Spirit, 7:05 in Saginaw on Saturday night, Saturday, November 9th. Those are going to be entertaining matchups. So we're going to see the first time that Brennan Hoffman versus the Steelheads on Friday night in Flint.
Do the Firebirds have a higher percentage than the Steelheads or no?
No, the Steelheads are still higher than them, 29.41.
My God.
So that's that. And now, of course, you're looking forward to obviously getting up against the Firebirds here. Going into the games, the leading scorers for the Steelheads, Thomas Harley with 8 goals and 10 assists, 18 points. Cole Schwint with 3 and 9 for 12. Richard Whitaker for 4 and 7 for 11 points. And then you got Ty Delandria with 17 points. Evgeny Oksentchuk with 7 goals and 11 assists for 18 points. And Riley McCourt with 4 goals and 10 assists for 14 points going into that one. Now going into Saginaw. This is going to be a really interesting game because, again, we're seeing one of the top 5 NHL draft prospects for this year so far, Cole Perfetti, going up against the Steelheads. And this isn't the first time either. So going into that game, Cole Perfetti's got 5 goals and 24 assists for 29 games. Cole Koski second with 10 goals and 13 assists for 23 points. And Damien Giroux, 13 goals, 8 assists, and 21 total points on the season. So as we've seen there, again, Saginaw was one of the top teams in the league last year, going for that deep playoff run, but ending up getting eliminated by Guelph. That was a tough break. They had such a great team with Owen Tippett, Ryan McLeod, as they got from the Steelheads last year. This is going to be an interesting matchup to watch.
I completely agree. Perfetti, will Delmastro be back by then?
Del Mastro, I'm not too sure. I think he'll still be at the camp for a little bit longer, but there is projected lineup. I think that maybe they'll do what they did last game and dress 7 defensemen. They dressed Charlie Callahan and Chaz Sharp in his place.
Okay.
So they might go with 7 defensemen again. But Del Mastro will probably be still at camp by then.
My personal opinion is this. Like, Cole Pervetti against the Steelheads will be very fun to watch because the Steelheads, although they are a good team, they haven't managed to get a good amount of wins or as many wins as they should have. They need to find more chances. And Cole Perfetti is probably, like, apart from Quinton Byfield, the best prospect that the O has to offer this year for the draft. So it's going to be very interesting what he can do against the Steelheads. If he can maybe score a couple goals against Kai Edmonds, maybe he can dangle around Thomas Harley. Who knows?
I guess we'll have to just wait and see there because it's going to be battles. Like, these are 2 of the top teams in the Western Conference. We'll have to just wait and see how it goes. We're just going to have to wait and see how it goes. But until then, so this was Tales from the Pond. We're actually going to go into part 2, which you can click down below if you haven't already seen the link. We are going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are having a little bit of an issue with as well, so we won't be uploading there for a little while. But it will be on Spotify. It will be on YouTube. It will be on Podbean. So make sure to take a look at that. We're going to head into part 2 very soon. So take a look at that, where we're going to be breaking down the Blainville Armada. It's going to be awesome. So thank you for listening to the Steelheads portion of Tales from the Pond this week. And we will see you after the games on Friday and Saturday.